Uh, yeah, yeah,
Welcome in, everybody. It is Tuesday, which means one thing and one thing only. It is time for the fantasy cheat sheet presented by Going for Two Live. Go like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, all the above. Let's get this party started. Help us get some more likes, get some more subscriptions so we can help you with your fantasy lineups. Let's introduce the boys and get the party started tonight so Jordan can go to sleep since he looks like he's already tired. Jordan, what is up, my man? How you doing, my dude?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm not necessarily tired, just battling a cold that's been kicking my butt for the last week. So I'm trying to hang in there. Voice is in and out, so I'm hanging in there.
And Jamie, it's been way too long since I've seen your ugly face. What is up, my brother?
Yo, what's going on, man? It's good to have you back. Love it.
Speaking of the devil, there he is. Yes, if everyone hasn't noticed, I am finally back. I was gone for 2 weeks. My brother got married in Louisville, Kentucky. So I was there and I did not fly home. I was literally flying home during last week's show. So that wasn't going to work out. But let's get into the show, boys. There was a little bit of news this afternoon and morning. So let's just start off. I don't care what order it is. Let's start off with Arizona. Kyler Murray is being activated, and it looks like he is going to start this week for the Arizona Cardinals over Clayton Tune. I mean, he looked horrible against the Cleveland Browns. That's a whole nother story. But, Jordan, is this the right move to make for the Cardinals?
So I'm gonna answer a different question first and be like, I'm just upset that I was wrong that Kyler is actually gonna play this year when I didn't think he would play at all.
Nope.
So that's disappointing. But I do think it is the right move for them. You got to see what you have. This is a new coaching staff. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury was the coach when Kyler was drafted. Jonathan Gannon comes in. He didn't draft Kyler, so they want to see what they have in him, in their system. There's a couple of games left. Obviously, they're not trying to make the playoffs or anything. So see what you have, and then you can decide to trade him or whatever you want to do with that number one pick, because they'll probably have it with being the only team. Them and Carolina with the only teams with one win. So you check him out, see what he has for the rest of the season, and then you kind of make a decision on what you want to do with it. I think it's the right move for him.
All right, Jamie, what do you think quickly? Because I have something I want to say about this comment, and then I will give you the floor on the second question.
Yeah, well, on the other spectrum, I was actually right saying that they were going to start playing them about halfway through the season. Just see what they have, see what if they need to, have that trade value. But yeah, it is the right move for them, and I'm happy for Marquise Brown because I got him in a few leagues and I need him to get going.
So you're happy for yourself. You're not happy for Hollywood Brown.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But Clayton Tune looked horrible, man. But so does everyone else against the Browns.
All right. So let's not go there, okay, Jamie?
Except for Minshew.
Yeah, except for
Minshew.
All right. So this is my opinion, and this is why I wanted to. This is the only reason I asked you to go quickly. This pisses me off. If this wasn't the news of the day, this would have been the rant of the day. This pisses me off because I agree with Jordan. Yes, I am wrong, but mainly I honestly think this is going to ruin their chance for the number one pick. I do think that Kyler's going to do enough to win a couple games, get them in the game, and then something's going to happen. They're going to win a couple more games than they should. The Bears are going to end up with the number one pick, possibly. Like Jordan said, Carolina is the only other team with one win. Carolina doesn't have their first pick. It goes to Chicago. Chicago is more than likely going to have two picks in the top five. And even if they don't end up number one and it's not Arizona, guess what Chicago is going to do? If they really do want another quarterback and they move off of Fields, they'll trade those top 2-5 picks and move up to number one for if someone doesn't need a QB. I get why they're doing this, in the Gannon situation, like you both have mentioned. But for the number one overall pick situation, I think this is the wrong move. And I see both sides of it. But if you really don't, if there's any chance of you not keeping Murray next year, you shouldn't have started him. I think if you did play him, that's one of the reasons I think me and you, Jordan, both said that. I think if they would have, if I thought they were going to play him, I think they'd keep him. We do all know that Caleb Williams is saying he doesn't want to go there, so we'll see on that one. The next piece of information. Okay, this is a very interesting situation. Jared Goff back in the day gets drafted number 1 overall. Number 2 overall was Carson Wentz to the Philadelphia Eagles. Then Jordan Goff gets traded to the Lions, and now guess who signs with the L.A. Rams going into their bye week? Matthew Stafford was hurt. He didn't play last week. Brett Rippon played. Now they go and sign Carson Wentz to a deal. Jamie, starting off with you. What does this mean overall for the Rams? Does it mean Stafford is more hurt than we think? Or let me throw another wrinkle that you can answer both. Is there a slight chance that they're even thinking possibility to see how he does this year to maybe bring him back? Answer both questions if you want.
Yeah, this does question how bad Stafford is hurt, so it might even be IR worthy. That's why they're probably going to bring him in. But yeah, I mean, they could be bringing him in to see how he looks for the future, so he could possibly be the quarterback next year. Because who else are they going to get?
Well, I'll just say this: in my personal opinion, Stafford better retire.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I think he should. Will he? Who knows? He's a stubborn quarterback like half of them out there. Jordan, what do you think about the Stafford situation, the Wentz signing, and then the Stafford after that?
So Wentz signing, I feel like this is kind of similar to what they did last year with Baker. They brought Baker in. We were wondering what that meant for Stafford's future because he was hurt then. Baker came in. Baker played well. We thought maybe they'll keep Baker. Baker ended up in Tampa Bay. I'm also, well, I guess I don't know if the Rams have their first round pick this year, but I mean they're only 2 wins out of the number 1 pick slot. Caleb Williams is playing in Los Angeles. I mean,
Sean McVay and Caleb Williams.
I mean, if they were in the running for that, I think, bringing in somebody like Wentz would definitely be cementing that. But for my own personal benefit, like Jamie mentioned previously, I need Stafford to finish the rest of this season for my Puka Nacua and Cooper Cup shares. But after that, he can shut it down. But I need him to come back, and I think he'll be ready. They're saying he's trending in the right direction, whatever that means, to play after the bye. But it's an injury that is more serious than I would like.
Personally, I think it is more serious. That's why I think they did this. But it all just shows that, and this is just more of a little bit of, not a rant, but just more something we can discuss real quick. Backup quarterbacks in this league, we've already breaking the record. If DeVito plays this week for the Giants, we're already going to break the record of 10 rookie quarterbacks starting in one season. The amount of backups that are playing this year shows that having a good backup quarterback is something that you need. And Brett Rippon sucks, because if Brett Rippon went out and halfway did decent, this would not have even happened.
I think it was crazy because this is a guy they've seen in practice all year. When the time came, they didn't trust him to throw the ball at all until they absolutely had to at the end. Their running game has never been the best, but they rather run their running game than give this guy a chance with the weapons that he has. It was just proof that they had no belief in him whatsoever that he could help them win that game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so to the last piece of info before we get into the major part of the show. The ghost, it's Halloween. Halloween's over. but the ghost of Martavius Bryant has shown up in the NFL. Jerry Jones goes ahead, brings him in, signs him to the Dallas Cowboys. I'll be honest, I can't remember how many years it's been since he's been in the NFL, but he was in the USFL. It's been a handful of years since he's played. Yes, he was talented. He came out of Clemson. I'm sure Jordan's heard a lot about him being down in that part of the country. He's an athletic freak. He got caught smoking the weed way too many times in the NFL, if Stephen A would say, stay off the weed. Jordan, big deal, little deal, or is this just something that the Cowboys do because they're the freaking Cowboys?
Definitely something the Cowboys do. They saw a guy who, at one point in time, a couple of years ago, ran really fast, and they are taking a chance on him. I mean, no harm in that, but I don't know if he'll actually be usable for them. I mean, Brandon Cooks was supposed to be the speed threat. That hasn't really panned out. Michael Gallup has speed. That hasn't really panned out. So I don't see this really working.
Yeah.
And if CeeDee Lamb is playing the way he's playing, they don't. I mean, shit, all they need is somebody who can run across the middle and catch the passes. So they're taking a chance on a guy who might have some upside for him, but I don't see it really working out. I don't think it's a big deal.
So, Jamie, answer that question, but then I got a second question for you because I know how much you love somebody.
All right. Well, I mean, this is just depth, I think, like to the roster. I mean, they used Tolbert a little bit last game.
Who would you rather have rest of the season? Martavius Bryant or Michael Gallup? I know how you love Michael Gallup.
Man, I'd probably still stick with Gallup, man.
Okay, because I know you don't like Gallup, so I had to ask that question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I needed Gallup in a couple lineups this week. He didn't do too well. He got me like 2 points. I thought he was going to actually have a bigger game too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, so let's get into the main parts of the week. So it is time for Monday Night Football takeaways. Last night's game, Chargers 27. The lowly New York Jets and Fireman Ed in the stands going crazy for another loss, 27-6. Jordan, they won the game. Keenan Allen got his 10,000-yard mark as the fastest wide receiver for the Chargers ever to get 10,000 yards. I even made a graphic for it. But you have some concerns, and so do I. So why don't you go ahead?
And I mean, you know, like you said, they won the game. They scored 27 points. Their defense played a lot better than they had played at almost any point this season. So, you know, kudos to them. But I just think, you know, the passing game, and particularly Herbert and Keenan Allen, they've kind of slowed down over the last month or so. And maybe that's coinciding with Herbert's finger injury. I know they had a bye week jammed in between there as well. But I'm just looking at their finishes the last 4 weeks. Herbert, in the first 4 weeks, he had 4 top 12 finishes. He was like the top 2 or 3 quarterback in fantasy at that point. After the bye, the last 4 weeks, he's had 2 top 10s and then 2 out of the top 20. And then obviously yesterday he had 136 yards and no touchdowns. When your team scores 27 points and you only throw for 136 yards, that's disappointing. And then you look at Keenan Allen. He had 2 number 1 finishes in PPR in the first 4 weeks. The last 4, he's had a wide receiver 41 finish, wide receiver 27 finish, and it's also a wide receiver 5 and 11. So he's had some good weeks in there as well. Hasn't completely fallen off, but if you remember the pace that they were on at the beginning, I knew they wouldn't keep that up, but it's just the drop-off has been kind of significant over the last month, and that's just something that I kind of worry about. I know the Chargers has been a organization that has historically either started slow and caught fire late or started hot and then fell off towards the end, so it was bound to happen. But when you get these guys, especially Herbert, you relied on him in one quarterback leagues to kind of carry you. And over the last 4 weeks, he hasn't really done that. Keenan Allen was a guy who was drafted 4th round, 3rd round, so he wasn't typically a number 1 receiver on any teams. But he was playing like one.
Mhm.
and then now he's kind of just where you drafted him at. So it's kind of working out for him. But the way he started the season, you were like, damn, I should have drafted him a lot earlier. But it ended up kind of falling back to what he normally does.
Jamie, what do you think about Justin Herbert in particular?
Herbert, man, I mean, he just needs to get going. I know it was a tough matchup yesterday. Jets are pretty solid, but Allen, man, I mean, he's getting the targets. He's just not really doing much with them. I mean, he's playing a lot in the slot. I know the 1 week he had almost 10 targets, but only caught like 4 of them. So, I mean, if he would have, I think we'd be talking about him a little differently if he would have at least got a touchdown that week. Week before last, he had like 10 targets, caught 8 of them, but he was still like a wide receiver 24. So,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not giving up on him. I'm definitely not going to take him out of my lineup.
No, you're not.
I'm just not looking at that top 5 finish that he was showing us the first 4 weeks. Well, he's definitely a starter.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's more of like
It's more you just have to rein your expectations in, and instead, I think what Jordan's saying, all he's saying is instead of expecting a 5 to 10 finish, expect a 12 to 15 finish, and if you get a top 8 finish, good on your team.
Yeah, I mean, he's been seeing red zone targets, so it's like we need those touchdowns for him to get up in the top 5.
Yeah, and we'll get into something in a minute about how that can happen.
Right, and I wonder if Austin Eckler returning from injury because his return kind of falls into those last 4 weeks, and how that kind of threw the passing game off maybe a little bit. I don't know, but yeah.
Continuing into the season, that'll show out more. And I didn't even think about it. You made it. That's a very valid point. Speaking of the other side of the ball, and I don't mean the Jets defense. They got Garrett Wilson, great talent. They got Breece Hall, great talent. They got Zach Wilson, was supposed to be a great talent. Jamie, will you tell us what happened last night?
Oh man, this Jets offense just looked horrible. Like, I mean, they're going against the Chargers, who are pretty poor against the pass. They're bad against the run, but they just couldn't get anything going. Like, I actually fell asleep by the end of the game, and I looked at the box score and I saw Zach Wilson had like 200 some yards. I don't remember seeing those during the game. So did that come at the end of the game?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, like, what I see, I mean, I know he got sacked like 7 times. I think he had a couple fumbles too, but still, it just looked really bad going up against a bad defense. So I don't know. I mean, like Mike said, they have one of the best running backs in the game. They have one of the best receivers in the game, and they're just not using them like they should. I think on one play I saw that they gave the ball to Cook, right? He ran for like 1 yard when you could have just gave the ball to Breece Hall and he could have got like 4 or 5 yards. It's just ridiculous, man. Like, they should have just relied on Breece Hall a lot more than they did. So, like, what do you guys think? I know Aaron Rodgers is trying to recover pretty quick.
That's
come back.
Not happening. That's not.
You don't think
that's
so?
not. No,
I know
that's not happening.
Yard bombs before the game started.
Okay,
but
Jordan, let's get that bad taste out of our mouth with the Rodgers crud. And I understand why you're bringing it up, Jamie. I'm not giving you crap for bringing it up. I'm giving people crap for actually wanting to see it happen instead of realizing that that's not gonna happen. Jordan, what do you think about this disastrous team that Jamie is talking about?
So, to give them credit, they have significantly reduced Dalvin Cook's touches. I mean, he had 2 carries last night. The problem is that if Breece doesn't break a long run, it's going to be or a long play in general, it's going to be a tough night because their offensive line is so bad, banged up. And that's the root of their offensive struggles. That was going to be a problem with Rodgers. So it just so happens that Zach Wilson obviously is worse. Then it leads to him holding the ball, getting the sacks. He put some drives together, but they just can't finish those drives. And that's the biggest problem when you have a guy like Wilson, when you were planning to have a guy like Rodgers. Rodgers may finish some of those drives. Obviously, Zach Wilson can't. Rodgers is not coming back this season. His you don't come back from a torn Achilles at any age, none that fast, nonetheless 40. So we can nip that in the bud. I don't care what kind of healing practices he's doing, what kind of drugs he's doing, it doesn't matter. He's not coming back until next year. I would like to see him back. I wanted them to have him all year, but we'll have to wait till next year. And if they don't get these offensive line problems fixed, which I don't think it's fixable at this point in the season for them, so they're going to continue to struggle unless they have some great talent, like we talked about. Brees can break a big play here and there at any point in time, so that's going to happen. Garrett Wilson is going to make some plays, so they're going to score some points, but consistently, no, because they have too many problems up front.
All right, here's my issue with this, and you brought one of the problems up. I think the biggest problem on this offense is not Zach Wilson. It's that offensive line. That offensive line is so bad that even some of the like you said, it was going to be a problem no matter what. The thing that is scary, and you guys both know that I have talked crap about a certain coach in the NFL all offseason and all year so far. I thought there was a chance that Brandon Staley was going to get fired during the season. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. His defense showed up. But like you brought up, Jamie, it's a defense that's not very good. I just double-checked, including last night's game. They're worst in fantasy points allowed per game to quarterbacks and fourth worst in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, and they're smack dab in the middle of the pack, fantasy points allowed per game to the running back. So with the defense that has been torched in the air and by the QB, they, like you said, I think that's why one of the reasons they got the yards is because in the end of the game when it didn't matter, they let him throw but didn't let him score. This defense isn't very good. The pass rush, yes, you got Joey Bosa. You got Khalil Mack. You got that rookie that I cannot say his name, so I'm not going to even try. But he's been doing good lately too. But they don't have great linebackers. They got rid of J.C. Jackson. I mean, we heard that the GM went and apologized to the team for that signing. Yes, Derwin James is a stud, but overall that team isn't great on the defensive side, and the Jets couldn't even do anything. Did I think the Jets were going to win the game? No. But this offense is not – it stinks. Okay? Absolutely stinks. Speaking of stinks, I know Jordan knows where I'm going with this. And Jamie, I messaged you this earlier this afternoon because I think you knew where I was going with this. I was not high on the guy, but I really thought last night, I know it was the Jets D, but Quentin Johnston, 2 catches for 14 yards in a game where you don't have Mike Williams. He's been hurt all year, or most of the year. Josh Palmer's now on the IR. I think more importantly, besides realizing that QJ might not be the thing right now, I think they're realizing more that how valuable Mike Williams is because, he kept getting hurt. He always got hurt every year. I think they're realizing how important Mike Williams is to that team. But Mr. QJ, Jamie, you know this from all offseason, I was not on the QJ hype train.
I was with you.
Like a lot of
I was right there with you.
Yeah. A lot of people were on the QJ hype train. Now, I'm not saying anyone particular on our show. It's not like that. I'm just saying overall in the stratosphere, there was a lot of people that were on the QJ train. I did not have him in my top 3 or 4 wide receivers. I think I had him 4 or 5, but like people were like, "Oh, he's number 2." No. No. That's blasphemy. Okay? I'm giving all the credit to 2 tweets that I found from Adam Levitan of ETR, Establish the Run. And this to me just proved I was looking for route runs and stuff like that. Jamie, I messaged Jamie about it. And I couldn't find it because if it was Sunday's game, the analytical stats would have been out today. But because it was last night's game, it was a little harder to find. Chargers, okay, Quentin Johnson has a yards per route run, Jamie, of what do you think?
Yards per route run. I'm gonna guess 6.5.
0.76.
Oh, geez.
94th amongst 101 qualifying wide receivers. But that's not the one that gets me. He is 15th out of 15 qualifying rookies. Okay? Last night, Chargers wide receiver routes run with both Mike Williams and Josh Palmer out last night. Justin Herbert had 37 dropbacks. Darius Davis, 4. Simi Fehoko, 8. Jalen Guyton, 27. Keenan Allen, 34. Quentin Johnston, 35. He had 3 targets. 3 targets on 35 routes run when you were supposed to be the number 2, and you were supposed to open the field up by being the downfield stretch, even with Mike. I get Mike Williams is out, but Keenan Allen, that was part of where I was going to segue back. I think Keenan Allen could have even more of a better season and be more involved, especially in the red zone, if QJ would be able to take some of the eyes off of him. But that's not happening. Am I completely waving the red flag of his whole career? No. But to me, I know I looked, made sure you guys didn't have him on your list. I am not picking him up on the waiver wire. I am letting him hang. Am I wrong for thinking that QJ is a rookie bust and needs to do something next year before he's a Jalen Reagor? Because there were guys drafted after him like Zay and even Kincaid and other guys that are going to show off, and he could be a bust. Jamie, I'm going to let you have this.
Yeah, I called him a bust all offseason, and I mean this year's been proving it right. What did you say his yards per route run was yesterday?
0.76.
0.76, and that was just yesterday.
No, that's for the season.
Okay, because I got one that says 0.86, but that doesn't include yesterday's game. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean he's been horrible, man. He's not getting those deep targets. You said he was a deep threat. He only has 4 deep targets on the whole year. He's not seeing like his target share at all. So his ADOT's pretty low. So I'm staying away from him. I never drafted him once, and you know how much I draft, like over 100 leagues, man.
I know. I have him. So I have him in one dynasty league. Jordan, what do you think about Mr. QJ?
Definitely a big disappointment so far, but I guess it's one of those things that we got to start thinking about. Is it like a Chargers thing outside, like when Mike Williams goes down? Josh Palmer gets the targets, but he doesn't typically do that much with them.
Yeah.
So is it just a Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler show when Mike Williams is gone? And then everybody else may get a couple targets here and there, but not enough to do much with. And if that's the case, then I mean, hey, it is what it is. But every time there's another guy on the team that we think is talented, I guess we can't keep thinking that they're gonna step in and have this big role, because that's just not how they've been designed, with a different offensive coordinator than they've had previously. And maybe it's a Justin Herbert trust thing. I don't know, but it hasn't yielded any results that we can feel happy with as fantasy managers.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you there. Now that we've gotten Monday Night Football out of the way, it is time for real or fake. Jordan, I am so happy you brought this boy up. I know it's a homer pick, but I don't really think it's a homer pick, because a lot of people were concerned about the future of this guy. Take it away.
I've been waiting several weeks to put this guy on this list. Aaron Jones is back. You know, he finished as RB1 in week 1, got hurt, missed a couple weeks. and they had a bye in week 6, and then they've been easing him back ever since then. He finally got the chains taken off. Oh, that's a bad. He finally got the chains taken off. That's a bad. Sorry. He finally, got the limitations lifted, and he, it wasn't a great game. 20 carries, 70 something yards, but I'm just happy that the workload was there. If he would have had 20 carries for 50 yards, I'd have still put him on here because the work is there, and that's all we were asking for. Like, it was times where people thought A.J. Dillon was taking over the job. That's not happening. A.J. Dillon had his opportunities. He's just not that good. Aaron Jones is still the better running back. Green Bay believes he's the better running back. So he's getting to work again, and you can put him back in your lineups confidently moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aaron Jones, for showing up the week before he got, or right when we thought he was coming back. I paid somewhat of a hefty price, more than I wanted to pick him up in a league where I paid a first and a little bit more. In a league where I needed a running back. It was only a start one running back, but it has like 4 or 5 flexes. My running backs were weak at the time. I paid for him, and then he's done dog doo-doo, and he finally shows up, and I win by 4 points. But I have always been one of the proponents of Aaron Jones. When people kept, oh, he's just this, or it's not, like you brought up. A.J. Dillon is not the man, period. Okay? He's the thigh. He's not the man. And with that being said and stated, he's good. A.J. Dillon can be whatever. But Aaron Jones shown that and the thing that everyone loves about Aaron Jones on fantasy purposes, but it helps your team out just as much, but it doesn't get talked about, is how he can be included in the passing game. Watson was out. They were able to use him. They can use him as a valve. They can use him in routes. Aaron Jones is back. This Green Bay team is on the mend. Yeah, they're still, they have some stuff to do. But overall, I think Aaron Jones helps out the visual of Jordan Love as well. There's another guy who did great this week, but you are a little skeptical, I believe. Jordan, who is your fake?
And I mean, this just has a lot to do with his teammates more than anything. But I'm gonna say Noah Brown's performance, man. You have Nico Collins, who's a stud. You have Tank Dell, who's a stud. Dalton Schultz isn't a stud to me, but he is a good player. Robert Woods was suffering with an injury. CJ Stroud has some weapons. They're not big names, but these guys have been productive for him. I mean, he just broke the rookie record throwing for 470 plus yards, 5 touchdowns. So obviously Noah Brown had a big game, but I just don't know if that's I don't expect him to get 100 yards every week, but I just don't know where he falls in that pecking order of targets. This was his week, but moving forward, I mean, if you need a guy that you want to take a flyer on that may have a big week in the near future, you pick him up off waivers. I'm not saying leave him there, but you can't expect him to lead the team in yardage every week. Because, I mean, Tank Dell in crucial situations, CJ went to him. Nico Collins was like the best receiver coming into the season. And he showed that the first couple of weeks. So he's still there. Like, I just see Noah Brown not being as much of a talent as those two guys and being behind him and Schultz being that security blanket. So I think he's 4th at best in targets on that team. And I think you can't take this game and think that he catapults those guys to being at the top of the food chain.
No, so Jamie, do me a favor, Brent, talk about Mr. Noah Brown and then go right into yours.
Yeah, I'm not really impressed. I've never been impressed with Noah Brown. He is from Ohio State, so I've been, watching him in college. He was close to being Mr. Irrelevant. I think he was like a very late 7th round pick in the NFL draft. He's not very fast. I think he ran a 4.65 or something like that. He only had 20 targets on this year. 6 of them came yesterday. So, I'm not gonna go chasing them points thinking he's gonna do something. But my going into my reel is good old Coleridge Bernard Strout IV, also known as CJ Strout. Man, I was so impressed with him. Like, I did not expect a game like this coming from him his whole career, let alone being a rookie, man. He had 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, Jordan said.
Yeah.
I know I started him in a lot of leagues, over 40 fantasy points, man. He got me 50 and 1. But yeah, I mean,
That's why he's the cover boy.
But on the year, I think he's quarterback 8, and he's already had his bye week. So just what he accomplished this week. I read this tweet from Adam Schefter, man, and it said he had 147.8 passer rating, which is the highest rating from any rookie in the history of NFL. He also had the 470 yards, which Jordan, you mentioned, was the highest. And let's see, he was the youngest player ever to have over 450 passing yards in a game. So, I mean, that's just incredible, man. Just for his future, we actually see what he can do, and I can see some MVP seasons coming up for him.
Yeah.
If you're the Carolina Panthers,
No, go ahead.
go ahead. If you're the Carolina Panthers, if you're the Carolina Panthers, you got to be pissed off right now. You got to be very pissed off. This guy has 14 touchdowns, 1 pick on the year as a rookie. Wow. He was a real for me earlier this year in one of his other games, and he's just continuing to get better. And like we talked about, he doesn't have a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. He has some solid receivers, but no studs, and he's doing this with those guys. Either, shout out to him, shout out to the coaching staff. They've been doing a good job.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. They have number 2s, number 3 receivers, and they haven't even been using Mechie at all either. So just wait till he gets the ball.
Before you go with your fake, the only thing I wanted to bring up when my internet was getting glitchy and all the BS. He is number 8 fantasy, but in points per game, because I wanted to look it up because you said he had his bye week.
Yep.
In points per game, he's actually QB5.
Oh,
so that's even, and the only ones that are above him in points per game: Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Patrick frickin' Mahomes. Other than that, it's CJ Stroud. So that just shows you how good of a season he's having. I had him as my QB1.
Me too.
You guys both know how I feel about short shit freaking Bryce Young. But I do think that everything that you guys have said is right. But why don't you take us to another team that you watch closely? You might not like them, but they are from your home state. Why don't you take it?
Yeah, the Bengals tight ends this week, they was Irv Smith and Drew Sample. They both were in the top 12. I think Sample was tight end 8 or 9, and then Irv was tight end 12 this week. And I had high hopes for Irv Smith coming into the year. I took him in a lot of best ball leagues, deep in the rounds, just hoping he would be top 12. But no, this game, I'm not chasing it. I think it'll be his only top 12 game. I don't see it from him. They don't utilize their tight ends at all. I think the most he's ever had was 4 points this week or this whole year. And Sample got lucky. I think he got that touchdown. But I wouldn't want to put any of the Bengals tight ends in any of my lineups if I had them, which I don't. And I'm not going on the waiver to go pick up any of them up.
All right, so this is part of the reason I wanted to it was perfect for Jordan to talk about Houston. But the other reason I wanted to bring up this, I am an Irv Smith fan club holder, VIP member. I have in Dynasty, in redraft, I have this many shares. But in Dynasty, I've had shares of him from a couple years ago that I still haven't got let go of. In one league, I actually had to start him because of a bye week, and I got lucky as heck on that one. Thank goodness. In another league, I am going to have to start him now because of Dallas Goedert. But I do agree with you. This is not a situation, even though I am a Irv Smith fan, this is not a situation that you can go in and be like, hey, he finished top 12. This is going to be a trendy thing that's going to happen. Now I'm going to play him and he's going to finish in the top 10, blah, blah, blah. You're not playing him in regular lineups. You're not probably rostering him if you don't have to. You're not playing him in DFS unless it's a freaking GPP with 150 lineups and you freaking want to put him in one just for shits and giggles. They play their wide receivers. They throw to Mixon. Burrow looks for them on the rare when he has to. They don't even look for them. They don't even draw them up on like red zone. This is almost like when Zach Taylor was in LA and they weren't using Higbee when we thought they should be using Higbee at the beginning of his career. So no, you are 100% right, Jamie. Love the guy. Drew Sample, on the other hand, is just another dude. He's just a jag. Yeah, he got lucky. He's just a jag. All right. So for mine, I'm spinning it a little bit different. Not spinning it, but I'll let Jordan take it after I give my take. Because I have a feeling I'm going to get a disgruntled Jordan, maybe.
Oh, no.
The Dolphins really pissed me off this Sunday because the Chiefs should have shattered them 21-0 at half and then freaking come back and barely win. But I'm seeing a trend with this offense. And it's starting to – and the defense is really good, don't get me wrong. But it's starting to scare me a little bit. Overall, they're playing – not saying they're playing down to their competition because the Chiefs are tough. But all three of their losses are to the Chiefs, the Eagles, and to the Bills, a division opponent, and two good defenses. Their upcoming schedule they still have the Jets twice in the next month, including on Black Friday, which I think is awesome because now while my wife is shopping, I can watch some football. They do play the Raiders after their bye week. Then they play the Jets. Then they play the Commanders who are doing okay. The Titans have a decent defense. The Titans' run defense is better than their pass defense. Then they play the Jets again. Then they play the Cowboys, good defense. Then they play the Ravens, good defense. Then they finish the year with Buffalo. I just have a feeling that the reason I'm calling it a real performance is I don't think they're going to win that division anymore. And I think their offense is slowing down a little bit against those defenses. And I think they're a year away from getting to the Super Bowl. I have a feeling it's trending downward instead of trending upward. Jordan, am I wrong?
No, I think it's more so for them. Any team that's physical up front, I think is a problem for them. The Eagles obviously should be torchable by any offense because that's what's happened. Dak torched them, Sam Howell torched them, but you have to be able to block up front. And the Dolphins, when they go against those good teams, a lot of them have physical defenses, and that has been something that they've had a problem with. They can't really beat the good teams because their offense doesn't show up. And that was kind of similar to what happened last year. They started off hot. Tua got banged up, but even when he came back, those teams kind of got physical with the receivers and getting their rhythm off, and it disrupted the offense completely. And I think that's all it takes for them. It's disappointing because, I had high hopes for Tua. And I mean, he's still playing well, but in order for him to reach those 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns or whatever, they have to do it against good teams. And they just haven't proven that yet. There's still time to, but When you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you should be able to get it done against some good teams. And if they want to win the division and then get to the Super Bowl, they got to get it done.
All right, and I am glad you kind of agree.
Oh no,
Agrees with me. You brought up the physicality thing, and I wasn't even thinking that, but that's a good point because you're right. It's the teams that have that physical line and the physical type of play. And later in the year, they're going to have to be playing in the snow, like they play at. I think they play at Buffalo the last week, and if that game does matter, who knows what can happen? And if that game is going to matter, I wouldn't doubt if that game gets flexed to a night game, which is even going to be more of a
and maybe
issue.
maybe
All right, so
maybe A-Chan coming back off the bye will help get some more spark back in the offense. They can get back to trying to run it a little bit more, maybe, because it's like since he's been out, they haven't been running it as much.
no, and that's for sure. Mostert can't do it on his own. All right, so let's get to my fake performance so I can get yelled at. My fake. Oh, I got to go back to this monitor so I can see his face.
I don't know who this is.
Huh?
I didn't look at the show sheet, so I don't know who this is.
I put your name on purpose. My fake performance is Amari Cooper.
Are you kidding me? Okay, make your case.
Yes, I am not. I am not kidding you.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here is my case. There is no physical possible way. Yes, they played. Yes, they got Deshaun Watson back. I get that. But they played a lowly Arizona team who was poo-poo beyond poo-poo. Yes,
Yeah.
He had 5 receptions on 5 targets for 139 yards and a touchdown. He finished as the 3rd receiver in standard, 4th receiver in half PPR. He is not going to be able to keep producing these numbers against the next couple teams. They got Baltimore at Baltimore. They got Pittsburgh at home. Yes, they played Denver, who stinks. Rams, Jacksonville, Chicago. But I am more coming up. I don't even know if he's going to be able to finish as a WR2 in 1 or 2 of those weeks. His weekly finishes were 59, 35, 9, 94, 17, 67, 31, and 3. There's no way he is going to reproduce that 3, and I don't even think he's going to finish in the top 12. So that's why I'm saying it's a fake performance. Don't, just like Keenan Allen going lower, don't expect because he had that boom week and Deshaun's back that he's going to be able to continue that boom boom. That's my only thing. Jamie?
Okay, so you make a good point. I mean, he's not going to be a top 5 receiver again, maybe once this rest of the year, but the plus side, he is getting the targets. I think he gets like 8 targets per game. He's getting a 25% target share. So, and they're all deep targets too. So when he catches them, they're like a more quality type of target. You're going to get the points, but yeah, I think he'll probably be like wide receiver 15 to 24.
Okay.
So yeah, I agree. He's not going to be the top 5. That was a fake performance. But yeah, I can see him being the top 24. So if he's a number 2 receiver on your team, I'd feel comfortable starting him even in bad matchups, just because he gets those like 8 targets a game.
The target
and deep targets.
All right, I got a second question for you, Jamie. Only because I haven't been on the show for 2 weeks and I haven't been able to talk to you about this very depressing situation. So this question is for you. Because I was upset too. How upset were you when you got a notification on your phone on Halloween that said Donovan Peoples-Jones is no longer a Cleveland Brown?
Well, I knew it was coming just because his contract was up at the end of the year and they weren't using him. So I wasn't too upset, and I'm actually kind of happy for my shares of him in Dynasty because he's going back to Michigan, playing in Detroit. It's a better offense. I think they're going to utilize him more. I think, was it last week we talked about it, Jordan?
Yeah, you guys talked about it last week.
Yeah, like Zach said that he probably won't do anything there, but I think he's pretty much going to take the Marvin Jones targets, and it says something about how bad Jamison Williams is doing.
I agree there.
So I mean, it could turn into something, man. Like he could be maybe the number 2 receiver on that team by the end of the year if he takes over Josh Reynolds. I don't know,
Well,
man.
the other reason I wanted to bring it up to you, listeners, remember I asked this question when I go to my waiver wire. Just remember that. All right, so let's get into the next segment. It is time for Jordan's randomness of the week.
I'm gonna keep this as short as I can. Josh Dobbs may have become the savior for all of us who have shares of anyone on the Minnesota Vikings team. And for all of those who have Madison, maybe the injury gods have been a savior for Madison's season now that Cam Akers is out for the year with the torn Achilles. But I thought it was blasphemy, even though they traded for him in the middle of the week, for Dobbs to be coming off of the bench for Jaron Hall. I thought that was blasphemous considering how well Dobbs had played this season. I know they only won one game, but it was Arizona. Who cares? Hall got concussed. He came in not knowing the playbook, just out there fouling like we'd be playing in the park. And he played well. He got the ball to Hawkinson, no surprise. He got the ball to Jordan Addison, no surprise. KJ Osborne got hurt. Brandon Powell, I think, got hurt as well. He was throwing to some guys I hadn't even heard of. He was making it happen. Like, if he can do this on very little practice time, getting thrusted in, the game plan wasn't even for him. He won the game. He had a good fantasy day. The weapons had decent fantasy days, and he didn't start. I feel like moving forward, he's going to be better than I anticipate. Now, maybe I'm overreacting, but I think he can sustain these guys. And getting Justin Jefferson back is going to help. I think he can maintain these guys, and they're not going to completely fall off a cliff. And we kind of talked about it last week, Jamie, a little bit. But, like, seeing him do it on such a short notice gives me more confidence that he can sustain their fantasy values moving forward.
Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Dobbs is a trooper, man. He's been on how many teams?
I think it's 5 in the last calendar year.
Yeah, something like that. And even before that, like, I mean, I know the Browns got rid of him, then he went somewhere else and back to the Browns and then left. And like, I just wish the Browns would have kept him. I'd rather right now have Dobbs over Watson.
Oh, let's stop.
Yeah.
Just
no, I'm serious, man. Like, I just don't like Watson that much.
Question. Would you rather have Dobbs or Brissett?
Probably Dobbs, yeah.
Liar! Liar!
Wow.
Like, give me Brissett and Dobbs over Watson.
Wow.
All
right, yeah, Like, that was impressive what he did, though.
Yeah.
So here's why I agree with you. If this was a guy who had never played in the league, but got thrusted in out of nowhere, like, say DeVito came out last week and had a great game. I'm just using it as an example. I don't necessarily think that kind of a player could do it over and over because the league didn't have any film on him. And once they get film on him, blah, 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 and they could scheme up. He started for 7 or 8 games all freaking ready and then goes to a brand new team. You already know what he does as a quarterback, and you couldn't stop it. Arthur Smith, no comment, get out. But yes, I do agree with you. The Madison thing's a whole nother story. But I do think once he gets completely healthy, I think the biggest spark this will give is Hawk. I think Hawkinson will have the biggest spark because of having the outlet. And the other thing that I want to bring up, just because it was amazing to see, him using his legs against that Arizona or that Atlanta defense a couple times. I was watching Red Zone, and they showed the play in the second quarter where he ran 61 yards on a 13-yard run where he starts to roll out right, spins back, gets out of the sack, rolls out of the sack, and then dives for the pylon at the 2-yard line.
Yes.
He's been there for 3 freaking days. Okay, before we go to Jamie for his topic, did you guys see what Addison said about what he did in the huddle that last drive?
No.
He literally they go, oh, so how did he do in the huddle? Blah, blah. He goes, yeah, he called the play. He knew the route, but he's literally like, call the route and go, all right, if I throw it to you, where do you need the ball? If I throw it to you, where do you want the ball? Because he knew what route they were going to run, but he didn't know where to place it. So that play where where Addison toe tapped, he told him, if you throw it to me, make sure you throw it on the outside shoulder because that's the only place I could catch it. And I will put that up in a second. All right, so let's put this up real quick because we're all staring at it. Alex, how's it going? I was offered Tay and Amari Cooper for Bijan and Garrett. Who's Tay?
Devontae
Oh,
Adams.
Devontae. Okay, yeah, Devontae. Okay, so if it's Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper,
No.
for Bijan and Garrett Wilson.
No way.
No.
Like I'd rather have Wilson over.
But would you?
Amari.
And
But
Bijan over Adams.
if this is redraft, I don't know if I'd rather have Garrett Wilson.
I mean,
Remember,
we just talked
Jamie,
about Amari Cooper, man. Like you don't think he's going to be top? We just talked about.
No.
I
I'm saying
Garrett Wilson.
2 for 2. I don't know if I meant 2 for 2 in redraft. The way the season's going, I would almost rather have Devontae and Amari because of Adams.
Yeah, Bijan has been disappointing, but so has Devontae Adams, so it's tough.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's tough. It's
because
close.
Saquon,
It's close.
Najee, and Brian Robinson. Like I'd want to start Bijan and Saquon.
Why? So you can get 7 carries from a starting running back? I'm not making fun of your take. I'm making fun of freaking Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that he's not utilizing them, but you think he's going to keep doing that? Like,
Well, we're in week 10, so I don't know when it's going to stop.
We thought it was because of a migraine. Last week proved that wrong. I can't stand Arthur Smith. And I just found out his dad owns FedEx.
But I still don't know if I'd take this trade,
Okay.
though.
All right, Jamie, it is your turn. You are
right.
up, my man. Give us the numbers.
all right, so this is I had trouble finding something because I couldn't really find a good game that I want, so I just went with the Thursday again.
All right.
So it's a 5-leg parlay. I'm going to take Bryce Young with the alternative passing 200 plus. I think he could do that against the Bears pretty easily. Then I got Adam Thielen. He's going to be his main target. I know he didn't do it last week, but I can see him getting 70 plus receiving yards this week. And then the Chuba Hubbard. I took the receiving and rushing for 75 plus because he does get targeted and he's been the main guy. I think he got like 15 or the bulk of the carries I know last week. I was going to stop there, but I wanted to keep going. So I found, of course, the alternate total. I think the regular total is 39.5. I just went with the absolute highest. So I took under the 51.5. And since it's Thursday, bad offenses, I'm going with over 3.5 field goals made.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
All that put together, it's plus 900. So I put $10 to win $100.
Hey.
And I think all that stuff can easily happen.
Yeah.
You're right, though. It will be some bad offenses, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I didn't do any of the touchdowns or nothing because
It's a DJ Moore revenge game, baby.
Oh, that's right.
You should have put a roll.
Is Field starting though? Because they didn't have any of the Bears lines for
because it'll depend on who's starting at quarterback.
Yeah, because Khalil Herbert practicing full Monday, Tuesday. Like they don't know what's happening. You should have put a Roshan anytime touchdown.
No, we'll wait on that one, man. But watch it actually happen this week. Watch it happen.
All right. So it's time for Mike's rant of the week. It's not going to be a long one. It's more of a soapbox than a rant because there really wasn't anything that went on too bad. That was a rant. I would have used the Cardinals. I could have, but I decided not to. There's a certain player that has been irking me, and I'll be 100% honest. You know who else has been irking me? Their fans. So, I am going after a certain player here. Okay. His ADP going into the year. And Jordan, I'm assuming you saw it, but Jamie, you might not have seen it if you didn't look at the show sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. His ADP was wide receiver third in Yahoo for ADP. For the past 2 seasons, I've been told this guy's going to do it. He's the next. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. This year, so he's had performance.
Oh, he's cutting out.
Yeah, you're freezing up, Mike. Uh-oh.
His name is Gabe Davis, okay? All you Gabe Davis truthers, when that train is going at 100 miles an hour, jump off, tuck and roll, and just take the hit, okay? Jamie, you've heard me say this on multiple shows, okay? I'm going to get to the game log real quick before I get into my next vent. His finishes this year so far, 65, bad. 13, decent. I mean, good. I'll say good. 31 as a
good.
WR3. Yeah, that's good. 10, great. 7, lovely. 100, 89, 12, and 140 with 0 points. Okay? He had 2 targets against the freaking Bills, or against the Bengals. And if he was that big of a piece in that game, he would have had more targets if he was that big of a piece in this offense. The other thing that drives me nuts, and this is the best part of my soapbox because you guys already know how I feel about a certain team's defense 3 years ago. The playoff game that he had 200 and something yards and 3 touchdowns the year prior to him all of a sudden in March being a top pick in Dynasty and going to be a WR2 in Dynasty was against one of the worst team secondaries I've ever seen in my life. The Kansas City Chiefs. So if I'm not even willing to draft him after he gets scorched by my own team because I know how bad my team is, maybe you should listen to me, Twitter world, X, whatever you want to call it. Get off the Gabe Davis train wreck. Come and buy him from me if I'm in a league with you because I'm willing to sell him. Jamie,
so
I know you have feelings about Gabe Davis, but they're not as intense as that.
I hated Gabe Davis his whole career, right? Up until week 5 or 6 when
you had finally got on board.
Finally got on board, and then the next week it was week 5.
5 he was number 7, and then he went to number 100.
Well, he put up double-digit points 4 games in a row, and I'm like, okay, this guy is for real. Finally, instead of being that boom bust, he can be consistent. Then he goes out and puts 3.3 points up, and then he put like 1.6 points up. I'm like, what the heck is up with this dude? So yeah, I'm disappointed. Yeah, he put up that top 10 week, but I'm just not on board with him anymore. I'll let him bust on other people's roster, and if he booms, whip-de-doo, it's going to only be, like 3 or 4 times a year from now on. So, yeah, I even apologize for calling him a big, huge bust. I should have just stuck with my guns, man.
Yep. Jordan, what do you think?
It's tough because it's like there's no rhyme or reason as to when he has a good game and when he has a bad one. It's just I don't know how they decide. And now It's Diggs, it's Kincaid, and it's now a little bit of Khalil Shakir. So like Khalil Shakir is passing Davis up in targets. That's alarming. Kincaid isn't going anywhere, and obviously Diggs is the guy. So it's weird. And then as we're having this conversation next week, he may go
Yeah,
off,
he
and
might.
that's just what you have to live with. But there's no way to figure out this is going to be the week for him or
Yeah,
not.
his targets are all over the place, man. Not
Right.
consistent. So
All right.
Tough to
So it is time to pay some bills, which means Jamie has a job to do.
oh,
All right. Today's show is brought to you by the one and only Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code GF2, capital G, capital F2, and get a deposit match up to $100. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use the promo code GF2, start drafting your best ball teams. Best ball's kind of over, but like Jamie has said on multiple occasions, there is weekly, there is higher, lower. Jamie likes doing the weekly drafts. Are those snake, Jamie?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's like
And
a weekly snake.
2-person, you could do 3, you could do 6-person, you could do different slates. It's awesome.
Yeah, so you can do a day, you can do the afternoon slate with a 3-person, whatever
game.
games, single
You can
game.
even
Yeah,
do Thursday game. You could add the primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday going
okay.
into the next week. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so go ahead and do that. All right. So speaking of Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and speaking of bye weeks, this week bye week drives me nuts. Not because I can't see my team play this week, but you have offenses. You have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp on bye. Those are the only two that really matter in the Rams situation. But then you got the three offenses of the Dolphins, the Eagles, and the Chiefs on bye week. You got all the weapons. So how do you counter those weapons? You go to the waiver wire. Jordan, who is your dude?
Oh well, this guy's not going to help you for this week.
That's
So,
fine.
I don't even know how much he has left in the tank, but I would take a chance to stash him, and that's Leonard Fournette, Lombardi Lenny. The Bills' running game, he wasn't activated for Sunday night's game, so he's still on the practice squad. The run game has kind of struggled, and I don't think that's a James Cook issue. I think it's the Bills deciding not to run issue. But I think Fournette could easily overtake Latavius Murray for that second running back role. That's a valuable role because that's red zone work. So you get Fournette. He should take. Damian Harris still hurt, so he should be able to kind of just come in, battle with Murray for the second running back role. I think he could take that and then share some snaps with it won't happen right away, but you take a chance on him being a part of a good offense. You don't have to put any money on him, I don't think, fab wise. So you just pick him up, and it don't even have to be tonight. Maybe somebody in your league may let him sit on waivers, and then after the first round, you can pick him up for free later.
Yeah, it's a good call, man. I know we touched on him last week a little bit when he got picked up, and I even said to stash him. But yeah, I mean, later in the season, running backs are going to start getting hurt more. They're going to wear down. He's going to be fresh. And it's a high-powered offense. He's going to get those goal line works. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, yeah, I like it.
This will show you how much I like it. I did do that because my number one running back was a guy named Kenny Gainwell, and my number two running back is a guy named Matt Breida. So at one point, well, my number one is really J.K. Dobbins, and my number two is a guy named Cam Akers. So let's just say, yeah, Kenny Gainwell, Matt Breida. I'm starting Matt Breida, even though he's the backup. I'm hoping that Saquon runs like a 90-yard run down the 1 yard line, has to take a breather, and then freaking gets that 1 yard touchdown. Jamie, there is always, and Jordan and me, I know Jordan's going to laugh when I bring this up. every offseason show that we had, you might not necessarily brought up this guy, but you always brought up a tight end and you brought up their athletic profile and their spark score and their RAS score. And at one point you brought this guy up. Will you try to give me your take without saying athletic profile?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do any of that. Right now, I mean, with the tight end landscape going on, with the injuries, the bye weeks, and everything, you can go out and get Luke Musgrave pretty much for free. He's only, 29% owned on Sleeper. Well, obviously not Dynasty. He's all owned, but redraft, go ahead and I would pick him up because he's going to see some volume. I know he didn't see a lot of volume last week. He only had 4 targets. But Christian Watson's hurt now. I'm pretty sure he's going to be out for a while. He's got like a back injury. He's got like 3 different injuries, doesn't he?
Question is, when is Christian Watson not hurt?
Yeah, true. But they're going to need someone to throw the ball to, man. And even with those 4 targets, he did pretty decent with them. That's all you can ask for is like 4 or 5 targets from a tight end. He could be a low end tight end 1 on your team, especially someone you pick off the waiver. Like, we're going to get a tight end 1 off the waivers, and I think Musgrave can do it. I know we talked about him in the past, a lot on this show, but yeah, I will go pick him up. If you can't get McBride, get Musgrave.
Yes.
Jordan, why don't you talk about a little bit? You're a Packer.
Yeah, like Jamie said, the volume isn't where you would like it to be typically, but that's one thing about Jordan Love. He won't have a lot of yards, but he'll throw a touchdown or 2, and it'll go to either Dobbs, Jaden Reed, or Luke Musgrave if it's not, Aaron Jones. So Love and Musgrave has kind of developed a rapport. That's something that's noticeable to me. So he goes to him in certain spots. I would like the volume to be a little bit more, but at the same time, Jordan Love isn't throwing for a bunch of yards, so it's hard to get that one guy to have a big game. But when you think about the share of yardage that Musgrave is getting with Love's production, it's what you would want from a starting tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. And so for
my
waiver wire, yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I was gonna say, like, if you get 4 catches, 45 yards, I mean, that's tight end 1 numbers right there. Like, I don't see tight ends get 10 points a lot. So
exactly.
I mean, freaking
yeah.
If my computer will actually link up so I can hear you guys in real time and not have Jordan look like a freaking Jackie Chan movie right now. Okay, so let me reset this.
I don't even want to know what that means.
No, just your. I'm hearing you, and then I'm seeing your.
Oh, okay.
Like I can be like, it's totally like you. I'm hearing you, and then a second, like 2 seconds later, I'm seeing your lips like an old karate movie. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up a couple guys really quick. I'm gonna give one my actual, and then I'm gonna give up a quick one for deep leagues because some of even the redraft leagues that I know we play in because we're degenerates. They're not little 4 or 5. Yeah, I have my work league's got 5 bench spots, but then I'm in one league that's got freaking, it looks like a dynasty roster, and you're trying to find someone for a bye week. My tight end that this week, he was the number 3 tight end. Yes, it's not going to be that big every week. That's not what I'm saying. But Baker Mayfield is finally trying to start using Cade Otton a little bit more. Go get Cade Otton if you need a tight end streamer, or even if you have to stash him, in the sense where I think he has solidified himself as an option on that team, even though the dump-off guy is definitely Rachaad White in the passing game. I think Cade Otton can be a guy. For deep leagues, Jamie, deep leagues only, because I said, listen, when I was bringing up Amari Cooper, there's a precursor to it when I was talking about DPJ. DPJ is not the guy. I saw this and I looked into it. My deep guy, he only had 2 targets this week, but maybe he can do something later if he works himself in the lineup a little bit more and gets a rapport with his quarterback. That is rookie wide receiver Cedric Tillman of the Cleveland Browns. He's not going to be no week-to-week starter or anything like that, but he is the guy that would run that big, tall guy that could run the route that DPJ can do. I like Cedric Tillman more than I liked Hyatt for price. Hyatt had the hype, but Tillman had the hype before he got hurt, and then Hyatt came in when he got hurt and went off for the Tennessee Volunteers. So my deep guy is Cedric Tillman. Jamie, would you like to talk about either one of them?
Yeah, Tillman, man. I love Tillman. He was one of my targets this year in Dynasty, man. Like, I don't have him in any redrafts. I knew DPJ was leaving next year. I thought he would take over next year. But I was getting him in like the mid to late 3rd round of rookie drafts. So great value there. But yeah, I hope he does kind of work his way in, man, because my dynasty teams, I got a few that could use him. I think I got him in at least 9, maybe 11 dynasty leagues.
Oh, jeez.
Like I said, I did target him a lot in the 3rd round, man. It was a free pick, so why not take the chance? He's talented, man. Like, I like him more than Hyatt. We knew that. We talked about that in the offseason.
Yeah. Jordan?
Yeah, you guys, listening to you guys in the offseason had me taking some shares of Tillman in Dynasty leagues. But as far as Cade Otton, man, Baker's using him more. He had a big game, 2 touchdowns this past week. Obviously, you're not going to expect that. However, as long as the volume is there consistently, I like it. Rashad White is the dump-off guy. Godwin didn't have a good game at all, so I anticipate his numbers will be better. But they're relying on Otton. Baker's looking for him when they go for it, 3rd down, 4th downs sometimes. So, and in the red zone, which is most important. So, yeah, that's a good pickup.
Yeah, for sure. So that is our waiver wire, everyone. It was a good show, right at an hour and 17 minutes. So it's a perfect time to cut it off, get something to eat, go and do whatever we need to do this evening. So let's just run it around the horn like we always do. Jamie, take it away, my dude.
Yeah, man. Find me right here every Tuesday with these fellas. Then Sunday morning at the Going for Two Start Sit show at 11:30 Eastern. Just come and ask your start sit questions. We'll tell you who to start.
Jordan.
Every Tuesday night over here, catch an article on goingfor2.com, cut or keep every week. And that's it.
You can find me on the X, on the Twitter, whatever you want to call it, the Drop the Mic FF. If you need a graphic, hit me up. Other than that, you can find me here Tuesday nights. You can find me on other shows. Other nights, you can find me over on the Rum Boys on Fridays, usually if I'm not busy, but don't have a life. But that's because I'm a degenerate and I'm in way too many leagues. So, like, I got to go and do all my waiver wires for 20 leagues right now.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the bad part. I was going to try to do it earlier today, and it did not happen. I was going to try to do some today, and it did not happen. All right. Everyone, it was a great show. See you guys next Tuesday. For Jamie, for Jordan, I'm Mike. See ya, and peace out.